Look, sometimes when we get into recovery, we start to discover consequences that we didn't know we had, maybe even consequences that we didn't even know were possible. This week, I finally, after 10 years of chasing autoimmune issues with various specialists, I finally found a doctor who was willing to tell me that I have permanent vascular damage in my hands from IV heroin use. Even my methadone doctor was not willing to tell me that. He said he's seen hundreds, thousands of patients and never seen hands like mine. You know, if you rewind a bit, 20 years ago or so, the heroin was pure. It was actually heroin. And junkies were almost proud of the fact that they were using the safer drug. Because the idea was heroin didn't affect your internal organs the way, say, alcohol affects the liver or amphetamines affect your brain or your teeth. The only danger in heroin was the respiratory depression, obviously, or something needle related like hepatitis, sepsis, abscesses. But we we just wrote those things off as bad things that happen to people who use dirty needles. The story 20 years ago was if you use a new needle, a clean needle, a new needle every time, you'll be fine. Nobody talked about permanent vascular damage. Nobody talked about vascular trauma from fishing or repeated poking. Now heroin doesn't exist anymore. It's fentanyl mixed with whatever garbage, tranquilizers, and other random various things. I just call it garbage now. The people that are using that drug, they've got gaping open wounds. They have rotting flesh. They're losing limbs. So someone like me who got out before that era can look at them and think, wow, I'm so lucky that I got out without a permanent consequence. But I was wrong. That's my permanent damage. That's my consequence. I have permanent vascular damage in my hands from IV heroin use, from using in the palms of my hands and in the crooks of my fingers. It seems obvious. I don't know why the doctors were so reluctant to just tell me that it was vascular trauma. Even the vascular specialist wouldn't say that. They all said it was secondary Raynaud's. Well, yeah, maybe the vascular trauma has caused a Raynaud's type response, but the real deal Holyfield is I fucked my hands up. The blood vessels can't constrict or dilate properly now. Certain veins were destroyed and new spider veins grew around them that can't support, the blood flow. These are my hands. We use our hands for everything. We use our hands to give. We use our hands to receive. We use our hands to love. It's one of the first things people notice about us. You know, we use our hands to create things. And I will forever have this mark on my hands, telling me and everyone else my story. You know, some consequences are immediate, some consequences are delayed. But using, it doesn't come without consequence.